Hello, everybody. Welcome to WD Carousel of Podcast. My name's Crystal.
And I'm Ian.
And we are coming to you about Patreon. Patreon is a program that we are part of that we are looking to get sponsorship from you guys. And so here's a little bit about what we offer.
Yeah, so we are going to offer just one level for Patreon, and it is you will become a pass holder, and that gives you access to a couple of things. The first thing you get is early bird access to all of our episodes. So as soon as I get an episode done, as soon as we shoot it and I upload it, you will have access to it at that very moment. And it'll be delivered to you through the Patreon app, or you can use our other new feature, which is the new CoPass app, which will be sent to you how to get access to that once you sign up. And it will give you an index of all of our episodes going way back, searchable, everything is there, and you get a place to add new topics to converse with us about that we can potentially go over in the future, and stuff like that. And so we're really excited about it as a concept.
Yeah, you can favorite your favorite episodes so you can listen to,
Yeah.
or for the ones that you're planning on going to Disney, go ahead and save those. That way you know what to do when you're getting there. But this is all for just $5, and $5 it gives you the monthly, I'm gonna say, pass holder level. And so just check it out. We're looking forward to giving you this information and this early content.
All right, now with the show.
Thanks, everybody. And hello, everybody. Welcome to WD Carousel of Podcast. My name's Crystal.
And I'm Ian.
And today we are going to be doing a sort of highlight on not necessarily a park thing. How would you classify this?
It's a resort thing, or a property thing.
We'll go with it.
We'll go with that.
So a few months ago now?
Yeah, it was a few months ago. Yeah, it's been a while.
We did a highlight regarding food allergies in Walt Disney World. And so we thought that we would also bring up something else that the quote-unquote average family would not have to deal with. But it is something that we have experience with through me and other people who travel to Disney have to deal with it as well. And that is mobility. So this episode is mobility at Disney. Yay! So what the heck does that mean?
And also the woo is sort of like, why are we saying woo? Is it woo because it's good?
You were
Is
the
it
one
woo?
that said it.
I don't
woo.
know. I don't know.
You were the woo girl this time.
Woo.
Okay. So a little bit of background on me. I have severe arthritis in both of my legs. It does affect me in my joints, which makes it more difficult for me to walk and therefore experience Disney, as most people are able to do it, where they, walk the whole time. What?
Yep. Yeah.
What? Me having a hard time walking keeps me from being able to do that.
Yeah.
But a few years ago, I ran into a DVC couple who have physical limitations as well, and they gave me some really good advice around being able to do Disney and how to approach it with the limited mobility that I have. And it's honestly because of them that I started being able to allow myself to get back into Disney, because before then I didn't really go to the parks because I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to do anything.
Yeah, or you'd get out in the middle and then you would lock up and not be able to get back to your car or get back to the bus or
whatever the situation may be.
Yeah.
And so it was really honestly because of them that they gave me the tools to then be able to experience Disney as everybody else is able to do so.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I have traveled once with Crystal, using after she's had her toolkit available to her to travel around, and kind of been following in that bubble. I had one other time where I was with a larger group, and one of the people had a broken ankle, and so she was just in a push wheelchair. So that was the first little bit of tiny taste of experience I'd had with that, but this was a real, true, full experience about how it works.
Going with Crystal,
you
kind
learn
of a crash course.
Crash course in Disney mobility.
But of course, going to Disney with Crystal is a crash course for almost anybody. But that
depends on what your level is, and
depends on where we're crashing.
Yeah, exactly.
So the first thing that I want to go over is obviously there's different kinds of limited mobility, and really they try and make themselves as accessible as possible. There are other theme parks out there, even in the Orlando area, that will remain nameless. Oh, I was not going to go that far. But they are not as accommodating towards people with mobility issues. And so I'm obviously less likely to go there because then I can't experience it as much, and I don't see the point in paying for tickets if I can't experience what I want to experience.
Yes.
So this also is a great one for people who have aging family members who, your grandparents, they might have been, big, strong people while they were younger, but now they're reaching that age, but you still want them to be able to experience this with your family. Don't make them push themselves. There are so many good resources, and we'll go over them, but just know that it's not just for people who have a handicap like I do. You'll hear me probably calling myself gimp and cripple in this because that's just how I...
Part of your vernacular.
It's how I cope. But it's not just limited to people who are actually wheelchair bound either. I am not wheelchair bound. I can walk, I can stand, I can do mobility things, but when you're talking about a Disney park, you're going to be on average walking over 20,000 steps in a day?
That's a pretty reasonable number. I know the trip before I went with you guys, I went with another friend of mine where we power tripped.
Yeah, you did two parks.
Power trip.
You did 2 parks in one day.
2 parks one day,
and we see everything in each park.
To see everything, yeah. And then we did Universal right before that, and we walked all those parks too. And we actually had to walk to and from the resort at Universal. It wasn't like a super far walk, but we had to get down and then walk back to the resort. It was fun. It was a very different kind of trip, and I don't know that I can do that every time, but it was cool. But in those, I think I walked 40 miles in 5 days. Yeah. And that's just not a reality for some people. It was barely a reality for me. Mm-hmm. I was in pain and I'm more or less able-bodied. It was crazy.
Yeah. So wanted to go over what, first off, Disney offers for accommodations in regards to assisting you with mobility. Mm-hmm. So the very first thing I'll bring up is the Disney's Magical Express. It picks you up from the airport, drops you off, and they're willing to work with whatever your guidelines are. If you need wheelchair, if you have other mobility devices, they're able to work with that. Versus if you were to try and get a taxi, that could be a lot more problematic, as well as Uber, all those guys, Lyft, yada yada. So working with Disney, I've found them to be one of the most accommodating companies to help out people with disability and mobility issues. So working with them, going with them, highly recommended. In the parks, they will rent you items for being able to use just for the day that you're there. They will have both wheelchairs as well as ACVs, mobility scooters, same thing, if you decide to take that route. Now, that being said, it is only while you're in that specific park. Yeah. If you decide to park hop to a different location, you would then have to leave that scooter there, go to a new location. I believe they will still let you use the same fee at the new park, and they'll just give you a voucher or something. But then you go to the new park, pick up your scooter, and then can use it while you're there. That does not allow you to obviously take it to the resorts or Disney Springs. Disney Springs might have some available for renting, but again, limited area.
Right.
Also, cost. So when you are talking about a wheelchair where you would push someone, have somebody else push you, or manually roll yourself through an entire Disney park, let's take that into mind. You're going to be looking at about $20 a day, I believe, is the current rate. But that could change, obviously. This is Disney. Disney's prices can go up. Disney for the mobility scooters is about $50 a day with a $25 deposit. Now, obviously, when you bring the scooter back, you should get the deposit back as long as there's no damage or incidentals that have happened to it. If something happens to the scooter or wheelchair while you are in the parks, Disney will give you a new one for free. They will meet you. They will take care of it. If you need anything, they are right there to help you, which is a huge thing that I have found with Disney. But if you're going for longer,
4 or 5 days, or even 3 days, or
you're talking hundreds and hundreds of dollars just to be able to go around. Now, there are buddy companies outside of Disney that you can rent from, and they will actually deliver to your resort, whether it's on Disney property or off of Disney property. And they will deliver it there, they will pick it up there, and then you have a scooter for the whole time. And that's normally what I end up doing up until recently, where I bought my own scooter. You can go ahead and get it through, I'm just going to name some names. There's no, sponsorship. There's no, this one's the best. But Apple scooters I've rented from, Buena Vista has one, and Disney's website has a list of about 4 or 5 companies that they recommend working with to be able to rent a scooter. Those ones, obviously, like I said, they drop them off at the resort. You pick them up from Bell Services. When you're done with it, you drop it back off at Bell Services, and they take care of the transport back and forth to the company. That one is really nice because if you are staying at a resort that has a lot of room and a lot of space, so let's say
a lot of them,
the value resorts, or what's another one?
I'm going to be honest, our Animal Kingdom trip,
it was pretty
far away. I mean, it was indoors, but it was still kind of like, whoa, this is a hike.
Jambo House.
Yeah.
No, Kidani Village.
Kidani Village. We were in Kidani Village, yeah.
So
but Jambo
House.
House.
It was technically smaller.
Yeah.
But it was still quite a hike.
Yeah.
And a long drive for me to get from where the buses dropped us off to
our actual room. And I know that Jambo House, when I had stayed there once before, was the same situation. It's a big kind of huge circle, and you just keep going forever. And I know that and those are nice because at least it's air conditioned. But when you're going through the values, like when I did my trip with All Star Music, you get out to the main building, and it's just you're taking a hike.
Or Port Orleans Riverside.
Port Orleans Riverside. French Quarter is better.
French Quarter is the smallest resort of Disney property as far as the footprint
Is it actually?
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. It is I always remember it being like pretty easy to get around.
Yes.
And that's why. It's been a long time since I've stayed at Port Orleans. But yeah, makes sense.
Now, you have some experience, so I'll let you talk about this instead of me just hogging this whole podcast.
Well, I mean, you've earned it, I guess. I don't know.
But when it comes to a room,
mm-hmm.
and trying to figure out how to scooter into a room and all of that, what was your experience like?
So the scooter thing in the room, and we were in, again, we were actually in a pretty big room.
We were in a DVC studio.
Yeah, so we had like a couch and balcony and everything. It was
kitchenette.
In a kitchenette, yes. It was very, very chic. But the scooter, we'd bring it in, and it took up some space.
It did take up some space.
It does. And I know that some people leave them in the hall. We didn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
But you also want to charge it, like at night. Like that's a thing too. So it's nice to be able to leave it in and just plug it in. And on top of that, we would just, the stuff we needed for the day, we would just throw it in the basket.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nice to have it in the room because you can just throw it in the basket and then you back out and you go. And then when cleaning services come anyway, you're usually gone anyway, and you'll have the scooter with you. So it's not too bad. Now, if it was a much smaller room,
say it didn't have the kitchenette hallway,
right? Or it was like I'm imagining like a value resort. Mm-hmm. If you put it like in front of the TV, I don't know. It would be almost impassable. Like not impossible, but you'd have to like climb over it, and it's not always the easiest for sure.
I saw a video of someone who recently went with an elder parent, and they stayed at, I think they stayed at Pop Century.
Pop Century, okay.
And so where they found the best place for this scooter, and they had one of the small portable collapsible scooters like the one that I had.
Okay.
It was right in front of the windows, right next to the door, but not perpendicular to the windows.
Okay.
They had it
parked along parallel with the windows, so it's parked sideways?
No, they did have it perpendicular. They didn't have it parallel.
Okay.
Because then the door wouldn't have opened.
True. This is true.
So you might need to finagle it a little bit depending on where you stay. And obviously, if you're staying off property, there might be easier locations for it.
Right.
Transportation with a scooter is possible.
It is.
In almost any format that you want to travel with. Because we did bus, and we did monorail. Did we do monorail with you?
I don't think that we went together for monorail.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was primarily buses.
And boat. Did we take a boat?
No, but you can.
But you can.
You can take some. And that's the caveat on this one. You can take some boats, but not all of them. So check before you get all the way down the gangplank. And then try and figure out how to get back out, because that happened to me.
Oh, dear.
The one from Magic Kingdom to the Polynesian does not work with scooters.
Are they the little boats?
Yes.
See, because I know, because like there's the big boats that do the run between
the ferry
TTC
boats,
and
yeah.
and those are they just like open up and people just roll on.
And the boats from Hollywood Studios to Yacht and Beach work. And what else? There's a number of boats that do, but the ones to the Poly did not. And so we were trying to figure out how to get me out. So that was a big learning point. With the buses, they will have you pull up and get in first. And if you're not familiar with being able to maneuver into the designated locations for the scooters, the drivers are more than willing to assist you with that. And so they'll make sure that you can get in there and you have a place. They only allow some buses 2 up to 3 scooters per bus. So if there are more people with scooters or wheelchairs, beware that you might need to wait for the next round. But then they normally also let the rest of your party board at the same time just to make sure you can get together.
It was a procedure I was unfamiliar with, so it was interesting to do it. I'd watched people do it in previous visits, but I hadn't done it myself. And it's interesting because the one thing that's nice about, not just one thing, but a number of the things that are nice about Disney transportation, which I adore, is the fact that they have a spot, like a designated place where it's like when the bus pulls up, this is basically where you should be if you have a wheelchair.
They have a little box, and you pull up into this little box, and you're just waiting there.
Yeah, and then it's also easy to see if somebody else has one already there, and you can count that there's only one, well, then I could probably come in and wait, and I could probably get in too. But if there's already 2 there, maybe it's not worth waiting up front yet, and we can hold back until a little later. And so we only had to do that like once, I think we ever saw that. It really isn't like the system isn't horribly taxed by it. But it is a thing. Almost every bus seems to have at least one, which makes sense.
I will say, don't be shocked if other guests give you dirty looks because you get on a bus that has a long line before anybody else does. Or if they have to stand now because you're taking up 3 seats. That would have been down if you didn't have your scooter there. So just a little personal side note that I've noticed. When it comes to the monorail, it's really simple. They have a couple areas they'll tell you where to go. It's just a little quick ramp up. They mark it saying, yes, there's a scooter on there, so there's already a ramp there by the time that the monorail stops, and then you just pull back off, and you are hunky-dory, easy as pie.
Awesome.
When it comes to the boats, most of them have a little ramp that they pop on as well. Some of them will have you get off of your scooter and go to an actual seat. Others will let you just maintain on your scooter. The resorts, though, you do want to beware that some locations and some resorts do not have elevators.
Yes, or they're not convenient.
Well, there are some resorts that don't have elevators. So Port Orleans, when we went to French Quarter, my mother and I, we had to be on the first floor because I had a scooter, and they did not have elevators for us to get to other floors.
Those outbuildings don't, do they? They're just the front.
But the value resorts do.
You know what?
Because that's what's hiding behind those big ugly things.
Right. I have a memory of being at French Quarter and having an elevator. Am I crazy?
Was
it was French Quarter.
Yeah, but there might have been like one building or so. I don't know. But they stated that when we were there that they don't have elevators.
Oh, wow.
For most of the buildings. So I would just be hyper aware of that. Ask when you're making a reservation if you need this. Does the resort offer elevators?
Right.
Just in case.
Okay. Good to know.
Now, some of the fun things. And yes, you're going to be like, what? There are fun things regarding this? There are some rides were built before the ADA was a thing. What does that mean? That means that there are backdoor entrances to get onto rides where you don't have to waste a fast pass. And this is something where we kind of plan our trip around it. Mm-hmm. So we're like, okay, we know we want to do this and we know we want to do this, but we don't have to use a fast pass for this, so we can save them for something else. Some of our favorites are, why am I brain farting? Not Splash Mountain.
Spaceship Earth.
What? Yeah,
Big Thunder.
Big Thunder was one. You go in the back way, in the exit, and then you park and you're literally right there, and then they just let you on.
Yeah, you're like on the other side of the track. It's like basically where you get off on the other side. It's essentially exactly the same thing. You just come up that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but Spaceship Earth is another one.
Yep.
You didn't know about that one.
I did not know about that one.
And we go pulling into the back. I'm like, no. Wait, we're going this way.
Like, oh, okay, whatever works.
I got a little secret. And then we pull into the back, and there's this like little mini waiting area. It's like, what, a bench seat?
Yes.
And then they're like, nope, we're ready to take you guys now. And then they bring us back, and we go directly right on the ride.
Yeah, no, that was super slick.
Living with the Land is one that you go through the fast pass line because the back and forths do not work with a scooter.
Yeah.
But there's a number of them, small worlds like that too.
Yep.
So you can go ahead, and they actually have you park outside of the ride for some rides, and then other rides they'll let you pull the scooter up to it, near it. And either way, no matter what ride you have, you'll have quick access back to your scooter. Most scooters are able to put in, you take the key with you still, but a neutral unlock position so they can go ahead and move it to where the exit would be. So that way you can just pick it up. So when we did test track,
that was what I was thinking of. That one was surprising. I'm like, okay. I'm like, I'm just taking this all in because this is so different. Because we would get up to the thing and then you would transfer.
Yeah.
And then, so you'd transfer into the car and we'd get in. And then I just watched them, pull a little thing, and then they just walked away through this door. I'm like, oh, okay, there goes
through
your
the
scooter.
door, up an elevator, over the track, and then back down.
And then so when you get off in the unloading, because a lot of times with Disney rides, because they love the, that I mean, I love it too. The whole kind of separating, getting on and getting off, making that look more, kind of making it maintain the storyline kind of thing.
Yeah.
Then getting off, then your scooter's just there. Is really a slick way to go.
So I would look into, if you're going, what rides you actually need to have a fast pass for versus what rides you can kind of work the system on. If it's an older ride, you're more likely to be able to get straight on without having to do any of the hootenanny of waiting in lines.
Like pre-1985 or something like that? Is that
something like that. Now, if it's been renovated, can't guarantee.
Can't guarantee that, yep.
But, as of this posting, those are 4 of our favorites that we definitely take advantage of. Big Thunder Mountain, to be able to just bypass that whole line.
It's awesome.
And then just go straight on to the wildest ride in the wilderness. Best thing.
Oh, I love that.
So, there are some perks to it. And then also, obviously, you're not exhausted by the end of the day. You have more energy to continue with your adventure. And it just makes for a more enjoyable experience for the entire party. Because then you're not concerned or worried or having to slow down. Right.
And it is nice, too, because if I spent a lot of time, I went to school in Chicago, and so I'm a speed walker. I don't know if it's just anxiety or what the deal is, but just speed walking, and so like Crystal's just like, can go.
I turned up the bunny a little bit more.
As fast as I could go, she would just be like, yeah, I'm here. Just right along with whatever you need to do. You're right there.
There's one instance that I can remember, though, trying to go to something, and I just was not able to figure it out with the scooter, and nobody was there to help me and tell me that there was a back entrance or something. But that was the Circle Vision for China.
Yep. Did we talk about that for Epcot shows?
The shows?
Yeah.
We might have touched base on it a little bit.
Yeah.
But they have these huge, in the door, they have these extra little railings built, and an ECV cannot pass through there, and a regular push wheelchair cannot pass through there. So they probably have an entrance someplace else, but there was nobody there to direct, or there was no signage to be able to say, go this way.
Yeah.
Unlike Canada, where Canada says wheelchair access down here, that way you don't need to go up the stairs and back down the stairs.
We did talk about this, because I remember talking about how the accessible entrance to O Canada is actually like prettier than the normal line.
Yes.
Like, you go through this like little waterfall, and it's like, wait, hold on a second. Like, I want to do this all the time now.
So it is doable. Don't be afraid to go to Disney if you have limited mobility issues. They really, really work to try and make your experience the best experience possible. And on one final note, I just have to really shout out to Disney about one specific situation. I was there with my mother, and my mother, bless her heart, is older and wants to pretend that she can still do things. She needs a scooter, but she doesn't want to admit that she needs a scooter. Either way, we were in Epcot, and it was near the end of the day, and we were in the American Pavilion, just passing it, and my scooter died. It wasn't due to battery, because our battery was still fully charged. It wasn't due to anything else we could find. And so we ended up getting it to start, and then it would stop, and then it wouldn't work anymore. And then we'd like turn it off, wait a couple minutes, start it up, drive, and stop. And eventually we just pushed it to Germany. And we sat there and we were calling, and at that point in time we kept calling, because I was using an outside company, them to try and send out somebody or a mechanic or a replacement, because here I am trapped on the far side of Epcot. And
far side of Epcot. It's our new album.
With, you know, my mother, who is already dead, exhausted, and me, who can't walk long distances. And eventually I was talking to the ladies in Germany, and it did take them a while, but they were able to not only, you know, help me out, but they took me and my mother backstage, got us a van, a private van, to bring us back to our Disney resort where we were staying, and they took care of the scooter that was dead in their area. And they got in touch with the company, and they got it back to them. And I cannot thank them enough for being able to rescue us, because I'm not sure how we would have gotten back to our resort from there. And to be able to take that extra step, and like the lady had called in a favor, and she even had like a little thank you present in a bag to give to the driver who was doing this for us, that she had, you know, pulled in a favor for. And so she gave that to him and said, you know, thank you so much for doing this for us. And so she like went above and beyond, and everybody on that situation, it took us a couple hours, but they went beyond customer service. And that's why I cannot speak highly enough of Disney, because even if it isn't a Disney scooter, they are willing to help you out as much as they can and find ways to help you still have a great experience.
Yeah.
So now that's not always going to be the case, but it just worked out for us, and I'm just happy that it did. But know that there is help there when you need it, and know that you can still enjoy the parks and still have support and still be able to do what you want to do at Disney.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was, for me, it was an eye-opening experience the first time I did it, to see how that whole process works end to end, and I, you know, I'm looking forward to doing it again. You know, there's no, it seems like a very lower stress thing than I was expecting it to be.
Yeah, it doesn't add too much
hassle.
Worry.
Yeah, really. In some places, it's actually a little bit better. And, you know, the last time we went, knock on wood, it won't happen again, but we didn't have any mechanical trouble. And so that was lovely.
I bought my own scooter now, so if it dies, it's my fault.
Maybe they'll help us and we pay them? I don't know.
I don't know. But hopefully we won't have that, you know, now that I have my own.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm renting something that has been used over and over,
right.
and beat up and over and over.
You get a good sense of it beforehand.
Yeah.
I'm going to put lithium-ion batteries in it. You're just going to go blasting off. It'll be awesome.
Nice.
Sweet.
Nos.
Oh, boy. All right, well, on that note.
Well, we were talking about painting flames on it already.
Yeah, there's been all sorts of discussion.
But this has been WD Carousel of Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. My name's Crystal.
And I'm Ian.
And we hope you have a great, big, beautiful tomorrow. Bye, everybody.
Beautiful tomorrow, just a dream away.